Testing, testing, mic check, 1, 2. 1, 2, mic test. Mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing, testing, mic check, 1, 2, 1, 2, mic test.
Okay, howdy Roadrunners. So before we start the stream and we start the actual meeting, we're going to have a quick announcement from our PR and outreach director, Alexis Grasso.
All right, so thanks, guys. So we are super excited. We are actually going to live stream this GA. It's something that we're trying to implement from now on, but we have everybody here that helped out. So can we give a round of applause back there? Thank you guys for coming. So I sent the wrong link in Slack, but Jack sent the correct one. So please share that. It is on our Instagram. It's being live streamed through YouTube. But yeah, we're super, super excited. So just two things. Please be mindful that this is live. People are watching, and it is going to be saved. So please be mindful. Second, if you want to be heard really well, use the microphone. We only have 2 today, so please kind of wait. If not, I can't guarantee people are going to be able to hear you. So if you want to be heard, microphone. Thank you, guys.
Actually, the live stream is linked to the audio directly from the mic, so you really just can't be heard unless you have the mic. So just wait until you have the mic, basically. Wait your turn, okay? Do you guys have any questions, though, before we start the actual streaming? Any questions? Alrighty. Jay, whenever you're good, you can start the stream.
Welcome everyone, a call to order. Today, 5:48 p.m. Welcome to the 18th session of the 44th General Assembly. Today's Thursday, December 4th, 2019. We're moving straight into roll call.
Michaela Biggs. AZ Budwani. Taylor Edwards. Jose Escobedo. Mariel Gaspar. Luke Gonzalez Ruiz. Regina Kennard. Alex Lara. Gage Martin. Genesis Montemayor. Alicia Moreno. Fatima Nuala. Spencer Palmer. Jasmine Ramirez. Salman Saqib. Claudette Garcia. Sergio Tarazas. Nicholas Delaney. Joshua Davidson. Angela Pena. Alexander Garcia. Sidori Brown. Lance Tran. Hernan Ballard. Travis Simmons. Maria Aguilar. Kennedy Kasky. John Seiss. Yessi Reyes. Andrew Alexander. That's it.
Alrighty guys, moving on. We're now going to take a moment of silence for all the UTSA students that we've lost this past week. Okay. Next item of business, we have no invited guests for this week. The one after that, approve of the minutes. Without objection, the minutes from 10:03 as well as 11:21 will be approved. Going once. Joshua Davison.
I just wanted a quick update on the minutes. Is it based off of what you emailed, or were there any updates prior from your email?
For the minutes mentioned, 11:21 and 10:03, all the changes that people have asked me to change have been submitted. And so unless you saw something that needed to be changed, it didn't change. If you did ask for a change, it's been changed.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
All right, without objection, they be approved. Going once. Going twice. Without objection, the minutes are approved. Alrighty, guys. Now on to open forum. Is anyone here for open forum? May come up.
Hey guys, so in terms of our community, our UTSA student body, we want to look at aspects of sexual harassment, bullying, assault. So we teamed up, or at least I teamed up, with the Peace Center. This is Ethel. We have some amazing news that's starting off that she's going to give you, as well as next semester, something that to look at in terms of a new initiative with the Peace Center. This is Ethel, and she's going to give you some interesting news.
Hi, thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ethel. I'm with the Peace Center. I am the prevention specialist. We are a fairly new office that has been institutionalized onto campus. Our charge is to primarily focus on issues regarding sexual violence, misconduct, and stalking here on campus. And so our office's charge is to go out into the community and primarily do prevention education work to prevent these things from happening in the first place. But we also offer advocacy services for anybody impacted by sexual violence here on our campus who can receive advocacy services from a confidential advocate.
the thing that Nicholas has brought me out to speak on is this volunteer opportunity. Everyone received a flyer that has a little bit of information of how to get a hold of me and our office. If anyone is interested in becoming an ambassador for these issues, someone that is passionate about prevention education, about preventing sexual violence, both on campus and off, this would be a place to go to. You can come visit our office. We are up and running over in the RWC. We are next to the Counseling Center. We're in the first suite to the left. You can get a hold of me directly if you have any questions or concerns about what is going on campus and what we are doing to address it. And if you are personally interested or passionate about these topics, please feel free to reach out to me to become a volunteer with our office to do more prevention education all around campus at different capacities. We need a lot of different help to get students involved. So just keep this in mind. If you can reach out to me soon, but after the break, after the holiday break, we'll have bigger events, charges, and events initiatives that we'll be working on if you want to get involved in the spring. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Yes?
Hi, yes, I just had a quick question. Do you think that your spot on campus, mainly all the way by the rec, inhibits your effectiveness with the students, or do you think that you see a lot of students over there by the rec?
I think that us being placed over there came about from different conversations that were had about the best location and what was available. I do understand that we're kind of far out there, so a big piece of prevention education is coming to the students. So I will be actively out in the community, more so having a presence where students are gathering, where there is more accessibility, because I totally understand that we're kind of far out there. So we won't be like completely closed off in there. A lot of our stuff is going to happen where everyone else is at. I really appreciate you bringing that up because that's super important for accessibility. But we'll be having a lot of connections all across campus. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Could you expand a little and or give me an example of what you guys do exactly for prevention education for students? So if like one of my constituents were to walk up and ask me like, the Peace Center, what even is prevention education, or like how do they help in that sense? Like what exactly do they do?
Absolutely. So prevention education is a multi-pronged approach to this issue. So a lot of it, while some of it might be like raising awareness on campus, so we'll be doing like tabling, resource fairs, and awareness campaigns, the large portion of prevention education will be getting students involved in skill building workshops and getting trained on these conversations. We use various models and theories to guide our work, and a lot of it has to do with getting people involved in interactive skill building workshops. So when we do prevention education work, that means that we are training students, faculty, and staff on these issues, on improving our response, but doing skill building where we're changing the culture on campus, where the norm becomes promoting healthy relationships, promoting consent, building a consent culture together. And we do that through workshops and events and specific trainings on how to get students involved and actually making that come to reality, right? Not just something that we're like raising awareness about, but something that we're actually doing something about it through workshops and events to get people involved at different capacities. Thank you so much.
So are you guys at all in contact with the university HR for not only work studies, but on-campus faculty, staff, et cetera?
Like if we're involved with the HR
Yeah.
process?
Like are you,
We work
have a
collaboratively
relationship.
with them. We're not the ones taking, you know, the official statements or anything through HR or doing those processes. But we do work collaboratively because we are going to be working with faculty and staff as well. Both advocacy and prevention education will be offered to faculty and staff. So any issues of harassment or sexual misconduct that is happening to faculty and staff, we have a process on how to get them connected to the appropriate resources to make sure that their stories are heard and make sure that they are being handled appropriately.
can I ask another? Okay. All right. Would you be interested, or at least somebody in the program itself, be interested in assisting SGA and HR, because we just had a meeting with them, creating or guiding us through an outline of what a proper or inclusive sensitivity training would be,
Yeah.
because we actually don't get that as a university, like campus-wide thing.
Sure.
But yeah, that's just a question.
Yeah, absolutely. Please, let's stay in touch about how we can get connected with all types of departments, especially if you've already had connections in HR about there's a need for that type of training or conversation. That's really my responsibility. So let's stay connected so that I can come out and we can work on that together and we'll build what they need. Yeah, thank you so much.
Are there any more questions? Okay. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there anyone else here for open forum? Going once? Going twice? Alrighty, moving on. We have no new business for this meeting. Sorry, old business for this meeting, but for new business, we do have the College Pads Memorandum.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So, as we discussed last GA, we were looking at partnering with a company called Rent College Pads, which offers various services. Just to highlight some of them before we go over this memo again, they allow students to see I guess, a shortened view of all the sites are available for off-campus housing. So instead of students having to look in different sites, it's all consolidated onto one site. Some of the benefits are it allows the university and students to kind of keep landlords sort of in check. So if landlords are continually getting complaints against them or if there's issues arising, the university is able to have the discretion to pull that site off from the Rent College Pads website. And it also provides free renter education to students. So a lot of students are renting off campus, signing leases for the very first time. They're fresh out of high school. So this allows them to have that education before they sign anything, so they know what they're getting into. So Steve Catlin, he was our sort of liaison with this one. He is on standby for questions if you guys have any. He answered some questions last General Assembly, and I'm here to, I guess, answer some more if you guys have any, but I'll read over this memo first. So this is a support for a partnership with Rent College Pads to facilitate off-campus housing for students. As the University of Texas at San Antonio continues to expand within the coming years, the Senate of the Student Government Association at UTSA believes it is vital to provide a platform that facilitates the process of finding off-campus housing for students. The ability to keep landlords in check, to give students renter education, and to ensure that students know all the options when choosing off-campus housing have been deemed by SGA to be beneficial to a significant portion of the student body. If administration at the University of Texas at San Antonio are willing to partner with Rent College Pads in an official capacity, the Student Government Association is willing to lend its support by recommending changes that can improve the functionality of the service provided and by ensuring that students are made aware of the new service, should it be approved by the administration at UTSA. Okay, so this is a memo, so this could be voted on in this meeting. So I will open up to questions if you all have any.
Alrighty, we're now in discussion. Nicholas Delaney.
Hello, Jose. I think one of the main questions are in terms of partnering with a business who's there to look over leases with students. And the concerns of that, have we considered that in partnering in terms of any type of technical?
Yeah, so essentially the concern about partnering with a private corporation, that's pretty prevalent in the Senate. I understand that. However, that's the whole point of the third paragraph, saying, it's not up to our discretion to partner with private companies. That's not what we do as students. If the administration, our chief financial officer feels that it's necessary, which again, this does not cost students a penny. So really, if they choose to go through that service, then what that last paragraph is saying, that then it's essentially our obligation to ensure that it is optimal for students. So that's after the fact that they approve the partnership. So it's not up to us. If UTSA feels that it's possible, like financially and legal wise, then I see it as our obligation.
Taylor Edwards.
Mr. Chair, I move we table this into the next General Assembly.
A motion has been made. Is there a second? All right, there's a second. All those in favor to motion to move this into the next General Assembly, say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
I believe this would be breaking the Handbook of Operating Procedures solicitation policy. SGA wouldn't get in trouble for it, but SLC would, because they're a department on campus and we fall under them. And I did some research into that, so we cannot pass this amendment or this memorandum. Even advertising services, we could get in trouble. And that was a concern I had last week, but just throwing that out there.
Division of the House.
Mr. Vice President, before we vote, can we have our advisor speak on the subject?
Yes, please.
So as far as this particular piece of legislation, it is not saying that there is a support for it. Just if it was to be supported by the administration, then student government would conditionally support. And so therefore, because it's an if-then statement, it is not legally in violation. There's still, as far as Student Affairs is looking into legality of this, as well as Kevin Price. So as of right now, there's no answer as to whether or not it is able to happen, and that's why the language here is conditional and would be acceptable to be passed in a legal capacity.
Jarmanese, Justice.
Jose, can you clarify something really quickly? What exactly does the wording, the ability to keep landlords in check, mean?
Right. So, as I was discussing, part of the process is landlords are paying out of their marketing budget to be on the website. So, well, that stands to the question of where the revenue comes from. The revenue comes from the landlords themselves. So, if there's a process in the website where you can report incidents or complaints against the landlord, and if they're not addressed, then they start racking up and they can be visible to the public. If there is a significant amount of reports being filed on a particular place or against a landlord, then it's able to be pulled off of the site by UTSA administration or even by student government's discretion.
Saman Saqib.
Hi, Mr. Chair. I have a question to the author and my fellow senator. My question to the author would be, what would happen if SGA passes this memorandum? Like, what purpose does it serve in terms of the overall process? And my other question would be to my fellow senator what would be the implications of tabling it until the next GA? Like, what would be the motive behind that?
Can we please have the author rescind his motion to table this and move into discussion for this memorandum?
Motion has been rescinded. Question is directed to the author.
Okay, so the first question was, basically why do we need this, right? Like, how does this fit in the process? So Steve Catlin initially approached student government and the UTSA administration with the concept way back. It's been in discussion already with legal services here at UTSA. They have the contract already. Essentially what we're doing here is, and I want to, I guess, draw your attention to the second paragraph there. So nowhere in that second paragraph do I mention that Rent College Pads is the sole, service that can provide this. What we are saying as a student body is that these, benefits, the keeping landlords in check, renter education, and knowing all the information, those are just services that anyone can provide, but that we deem fit as a growing university. Now, it may not be Rent College Pads that is the only one that provides this, but so far, they've been the only service so far. So that's why we have that language in the second paragraph. So we're saying, like, we recognize that we need this as a growing university. We don't recognize that we need Rent College Pads, but we do need these services moving forward. And so if it were to fail, essentially, this isn't for Rent College Pads. I know we mentioned in there, but that's just for purposes that we need to. LT and administration have asked for our opinion on it as a student government. So really, this serves as our opinion as a Senate. Our opinion would be that we need these services. And that if they choose to do so, then we will be there to assist as possible.
graduate from the question from the graduate senators now be directed to Senator Edwards.
Thank you for that question. My reasoning for tabling it is, one, I think it would allow us to get more information on the topic. When it comes to meetings like tonight's, where it's very short, the Senate seems to want to get things done quickly, and something like this I don't think should be done quickly. And my second reason for tabling is, as the senator for Colfa stated, this is about our opinion, yet it says if the admin is willing to partner, and and then the student government is willing to lend its support. We don't do what the admin tells us to do. I mean, we don't, if the dean of students supports this, then we'll support it. That implies if she doesn't support it, we also will not support it. It's a conditional statement. If she supports it, we will support it. Do we not have opinions here? I mean, can we not say, I support this or we do not support this? It's not even about the meat of the amendment. It's about what it's saying. Period.
The speaker may respond.
So to address that concern, that perception that if the administration approves it, then we're always going to approve it, I would say is not founded. So again, we're just saying that these abilities that are being provided are beneficial. And now it's not up to our discretion to make business partnerships and contracts with other private corporations. So essentially, it's never in our power to make those contracts. However, it is UTSA's administration's power to make those contracts. So if they are willing to do that as a financial and legal entity, then again, I find that it's our obligation to make sure that's optimal for students. So even if they decide not to go to rent college pads, if we still pass this memo, we are still saying that those capabilities are still beneficial to students. Now, it might not be rent college pads that provides it, but we are saying that those capabilities are beneficial no matter who provides it. So this opens the door to more possibilities of trying to get this accomplished, even without rent college pads, essentially.
Nicholas Delaney.
Thank you, Speaker. Legislation needs to be addressed or at least referred to a designated entity. What is this? Which piece of this legislation is? What entity is it derived to?
So since it's a memo, it doesn't have to be specifically directed towards anyone. However, even though it's not explicitly stated, this will serve as our official opinion, saying that, again, these capabilities are necessary. So, like I said, LT and UTSA administration have asked for our opinion, so this will serve as that. So it'll just be for anyone that wants to know the student's opinion on, one, the capabilities, and two, of rent college pads.
Joshua Davison.
I believe I support this memorandum. It seems pretty straightforward. I mean, at this point, a lot of this moving forward does reflect on the administration. From the most part, from I guess that interview that we had with the rent college pads guy, it seems like it potentially can be a beneficial, I guess, program. I guess one question that might be worth asking is, so if we do lend our support, are you aware in the process of this becoming some sort of official capacity, and I guess SGA's connection with that, do you see future resolutions probably being necessary and that we'll have further discussions that more or less this is supporting this if the administration passes it, but nonetheless any implementation and hard coding with actually rent college pads and SGA would happen at a further time?
Thank you, Senator Davison. So let me just kind of explain the benefits of making sure this is a sponsored thing by the university. So if we, as a university, choose to partner with rent college pads, we're able to make them a subdomain of the UTSA website. Currently, if you look at UTSA off-campus housing, it's a rather dull PDF that doesn't really give you all the information, and quite frankly, I doubt students really rely on it. However, if we were to partner with them, that would replace that subdomain, and it would allow for rent college pads to directly advertise as sponsored by UTSA, so students would be more trusting to use it rather than just some other company. Now, as far as student government goes in our input, if they're able to sponsor them, we have basically a backdoor as an organization saying, okay, we've identified these certain, I guess, kinks in the system, and these are our recommendations for those, So that allows us to give input, basically. As far as resolutions go that are going to be needed, probably not official resolutions. It might just be the work of a committee, probably business affairs or student affairs, that would work on it to ensure that it's working properly. And it will be the constant monitoring of the entire Senate that would ensure that it's functioning, basically.
AZ Biwani.
First thing, we're in discussion, right? Yes? All right. I am not in favor of this memo. I think it's a little preemptive. I do agree that what the second paragraph intends to say, that we need to give better renter education and ensure students know all the options when choosing off-campus housing. I agree with all of that. I think it's kind of preemptive to specifically say rent college pads as that we support them, right? I think if the university supports them, then we should make a decision on whether SGA supports them. It doesn't make sense for us to make we have support before any decision has been made in the first place.
Maria Aguilar.
Thank you. So along with what Aziz just said and a couple of other senators who've been sitting here, I understood the second paragraph in the sense of these being the things that would benefit our students, but the third paragraph in which it states if the administration of the University of Texas at San Antonio are willing to partner with rent college pads in official capacity, the Student Government Association is willing to lend its support by recommending changes that can improve functionality of the service provided by insurance and by ensuring that students are aware of this new service should it be approved by the administration. Again, it is presumption because we're making this ideal of we're having an opinion for our students who haven't said anything, and it's before any choice or option has been made. The contract's been made, but nothing's been signed. Nothing's 100% yes, and I would rather have this happen, us listen to our students, them telling us their opinions. Do they like it? Do they hate it? How do they feel? Should we alter it? Should we say something? And then us going to the administration about it simply because that's what I feel we're here for. So I'm not in favor of this memorandum.
Germany's.
I forgot what I was going to say. I was just going to say that some of the language in the memo is a little problematic for me. And then I would recommend, especially for the second paragraph, the ability to keep landlords in check. That's borderline exerting some level of control over landlords. So I get what you were saying earlier, just I guess making them accountable for, you said like their lack of like adequate performance, right, for tenants or residents. So I understand that, but just the language in the document is, it's not really telling of what its true intentions are, I guess. It's like kind of telling something else. So it's a little problematic. So I would just recommend adjusting it, because like you said, like what you were saying earlier, I definitely understand like the purpose of it, but it doesn't display in the document.
Claudia Garcia.
I am not in favor of this memorandum because though the capabilities mentioned in the, like Germany said, in the second paragraph are very useful for students, I believe that the focus of this memorandum is not on the capabilities, but on another issue. I would like to see more research go into what the students would like in regards to the capabilities mentioned, and maybe a little more fine-tuning. That is why I'm not in favor of this memorandum, though I do think it's an important issue for us to explore.
Saman Saqib.
I heard all the points, and I'm like 200%. I'm agreeing with Germany's that the true purpose of the memo is not being expressed by the language as it stands right now. So as we can keep discussing it all night, but what I feel like is there are two ways that it can be what it needs to be. Either we start proposing amendments on the floor, or we table it until the language is more refined. And also, the last paragraph is not a conditional statement like Senator Edwards said, and it's more like open-ended, so that SGA can make their call even later at a time. Let's just say, not like the SGA will not always align with what administration tells us to do. So making that last paragraph changes and also changing the language could make it like approvable by the General Assembly. That's just my thought.
Alicia Moreno.
I agree with the last two speakers. I'm in favor of this memorandum conceptually. However, the second paragraph, I think the language could be tweaked. I agree that it's problematic keeping landlords in check. However, I think that one of the strengths of this platform specifically is the ability for the administration to boycott landlords that are not taking care of our students properly. I think that's one of the biggest strengths of this platform. But I do think that the third paragraph is written properly, because what is being asked for right now from the Dean of Students is SGA's opinion on whether this is something that is important to students, and it is.
Alex Garcia. Joshua Davidson.
Hi, how's it going again? I just wanted to say, in particular, I think there's been some arguments about the language, I guess probably in the second paragraph, probably going to make a quick motion in a second. But I think if, given, I guess, all the dissenting opinions, especially in the mindset that, one, we should probably survey students, I think it's helpful to reminder that, we are, in essence, a representative government, so we're voted in place to make decisions for students, because if we always had to survey students, then we would really get nothing done. I'm not saying that surveying students is a bad idea. Obviously, it's actually probably a smart idea, especially given the nature of this kind of proposal moving forward. But if you really look at the core statement that's made, which is the conditional statement in paragraph 3, it says again, the Student Government Association is willing to lend its support by recommending changes that would improve its functionality of the service provided. So it's actually not even really saying like, hey, we wholeheartedly are 100% behind this if you guys are behind it. It's really just saying we're willing to lend support by recommending changes. So it's pretty much just saying, if you guys support this, we're going to be a voice in, how this can function properly and stuff. And that really feeds into a potential surveying of students in terms of what do we want, what don't we want. And given the nature that it seems like Jose has, again, already been in contact with university faculty with regards to this, I feel we're better served by allowing him to move forward and having this statement to present because I guess a lot of the dissenting opinions, as I'm understanding them, is not necessarily, I guess, accurate with respect to that third statement, as well as I motion to amend the second paragraph statement, the ability to keep landlords in check, to state the ability to keep landlords accountable to student feedback.
A motion's been made to amend the second paragraph. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. Give us 1 second. Could you restate that, please?
Yeah. Can you move that? Because I just can't see the thingy. Oh, yeah. The ability to keep landlords accountable to student feedback. Well, not the whole thing. It kind of be just an add-on. Instead of in check, it would be accountable to student feedback. Yep. I guess we're in discussion for this.
AZ Buwani.
To Joshua's point of the third paragraph, it seems like a lot of ifs. Like, if they support it, then we have the ability to potentially still support it. Like, it just seems like it's a lot of, if this is true, then we'll do this, then we have, it just seems like if we just wait until the university makes a decision, it would be better to then make our decision if we support it or if we don't. It just seems, again, like a presumptuous to make this memo pass tonight.
Joshua.
Was the Rent-A-College pads idea brought up by SGA? Or was the university already evaluating it?
Hey, so Dylan actually was the first to be reached out by Rent College Pads. Steve Catlin works there over them. He was assigned to our university. And he had emailed me, and then Dylan got me into touch with him, and we discussed things. But he reached out to SGA. SGA then informed Kevin Price, LT Robinson, and other senior administration to come to our exec meeting and talk about the possibilities of doing this in the future and whether or not it was, within the legal realm of possibility.
Cool. So I guess it's a point of order that this was an SGA sort of led initiative in a sense, somewhat.
Luke Gonzalez Ruiz.
Motion to table this memorandum until the next General Assembly.
Second.
No. A motion's been made to move this to the next General Assembly. There was a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? We'll redo the count. All those in favor of motioning this to the next General Assembly, please raise your hands, elbows up. Hands down. All those not in favor of motioning this to next week, next General Assembly, hands up, elbows locked. Hands down. All those abstain. The ayes have it. This has been moved to the next General Assembly. Next item of business, we have the 150-hour credit rule.
Point of inquiry, I believe this is the second reading, so this can be passed today, correct? Okay, just double check. I gotta read the whole thing? Okay. Just the changes, right? Okay, awesome. I'm just gonna do a second reading of this real quick. I'll try to be as fast as possible. Give me a second. Okay. So, GA 103, this resolution shall henceforth be known as the 150 credit hour rule plus supportive and advising requirements equals more college graduates and less financial barriers. Purpose, students that have more than 150 credit hours are subject to additional financial charges. Current policy allows students to petition to waive the charges. The petition process is limited and does best support the interests. I believe actually that should be does not. I guess I'll motion to change that. Should I do that now? I'll do that later. Does best support the interests of students. The resolution seeks to minimize unnecessary excess financial burden on students by being charged additional fees for having more than 150 credit hours. Whereas Section 54.014, entitled Tuition for Repeated or Excessive Undergraduate Hours of the Texas Education Code, states a institution of higher education may charge a resident undergraduate student tuition at a higher rate than the rate charged to other resident undergraduate students, not to exceed the rate charged to non-resident undergraduate students. Whereas Section 54.04 4014, entitled Tuition for Repeated or Excessive Undergraduate Hours of the Texas Education Code, states that the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board shall adopt a rule that exempts a resident student from this subsection if the student enrolls in a course that is the same, whereas substantially similar to a course that the student previously completed solely as a result of hardship or other good cause. Article 1, whereas Article 1, Section 2 of the UTSA Student SGA Constitution states that SGA is to serve as a voice for UTSA students by reviewing and making recommendations on matters affecting the university community, whereas Article 2, Section 2 of the UTSA SGA Constitution states that the duties and responsibilities of the UTSA SGA General Assembly is to represent and communicate the opinion and needs of the student body to the administration, faculty, staff, and other entities. Whereas Article 2, Section 2 of the UTSA SGA Constitution states that the duties and responsibilities of the UTSA SGA General Assembly is to review, discuss, consider, and take any necessary action through legislation on all issues which concern the campus or students. Whereas Article 12, Section 5 of the UTSA SGA Constitution states, the Academic Affairs Committee shall make recommendations to the General Assembly on what action should be taken involving academic affairs, whereas undergraduate committee credit limitation states that a student may petition to appeal a charge incurred because of the 150 credit hour rule, whereas many students are forced to pay out of state tuition because of the 150 credit hour rule, and whereas the higher tuition cost is typically waived and for an additional 24 hours if the student completes a plan with an academic advisor, and whereas the additional 24 credit hours does not always guarantee the student is able to complete a degree, and whereas the additional 24 credit hours do not cover the potential failure and repeat of courses, and whereas the unique demographics of UTSA students, particularly the fact that UTSA has a high percentage of first-time college graduates and a high percentage of students that work to pay for their classes, warrants a more considerate and robust excessive credit charges, system. Therefore, be it resolved, students with more than 150 credit hours should continue to meet with their advisor to complete a graduation plan that emphasizes the shortest amount of credits necessary to graduate. Therefore, further be it resolved, students taking the courses on the graduation plan should not be charged out-of-state tuition for courses on the aforementioned degree plan, and therefore be it resolved, students should not be charged out-of-state tuition if they need to repeat any of the courses on the aforementioned degree plan, and therefore be it further resolved, students wishing to take classes outside of the formulated degree plan should be charged additional tuition fees associated with the 150 credit hour rule as a deterrent to excess credit hours being outside a declared degree plan, and as an encouragement of timely degree completion. Further down. Therefore, be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to the concerned personnel by the Speaker of the Senate within 2 weeks of passing this resolution, with this clause being omitted from the resolution. Therefore, be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be sent to Dr. Andrews Espy, Provost, Provost and Senior Vice President of Academic Affairs, with this clause there's a few other names. Associate Vice Provost of Student Success, Cy McMillan. Associate Vice Provost of Undergraduate Studies. I read that kind of wrong, but anyways. Diani, I don't know how to say his name. Divini, Associate Director of Advising, with this clause being omitted from the resolution. Therefore, be it further resolved that if no action is taken on this issue by the census of spring 2020, the Speaker of the Senate will follow up with the concerned personnel for an update on this issue. The end.
All right.
Cool.
Thank you.
I make a quick statement before we jump into discussion?
Less than 30 seconds.
Okay, I'll keep it short. But yeah, so long story short, main aspects here is I've already talked, or I sent an email to Cy McMillan. He's one of the main persons who at UTSA controls this process, and he was waiting for this resolution to be passed before we could enter in discussions on possibly actually implementing this. So therefore, the university seems to be showing a lot of support in actually moving some of these forward.
Taylor.
Is there a point of inquiry? Is there a definitive decision?
Taylor.
Go. I think it's a good point of inquiry. Point of
Yes,
inquiry,
but
is there a
yes.
definition for that?
Give me 1 second.
Sorry.
Yes, but it could work as both. at which later point it could still be edited to format whichever as the author sees fit. To the justice? Yes. Give me 1 second so we can get you a mic.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
You got it?
Thank you, Izzy.
Just to clarify, Taylor, you said your question was, should this be proposed as a memorandum and not a resolution? Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Justice. The reason I ask is because memorandums, as I think I know, is that they propose what we suggest, per se, but resolutions are binding. And this resolution is a binding document saying, be it resolved, blank, 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 yet we have no power whatsoever to do what it's asking us to do. I mean, we could not fulfill this. The only way we could do this is a memorandum. The memorandum would then be sent to the admin listed, and then they would see that the students care about it and choose whether or not to do it or not. I think that's correct. I don't know.
Does the justice want to respond?
Yes. I was going to say yes, I do agree with Carlo. It could work as both, but I do recommend it being a memorandum.
Thank you. Claudia Garcia?
There's a lot of changes made, so I motion to adopt all of the changes, therefore we can discuss the document that was read.
Hearing that there's a second, all those in favor to adopt all changes, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The ayes have it. All the changes have been adopted. And we're now back in open discussion. Joshua Davison.
Ooh, I guess to Senator Edwards' question, I guess, of this being a memorandum, I mean, I guess it feeds into a bigger underlying question of, I guess, the distinction between memorandums and resolutions for the sake of SGA. That being said, the nature of this, I believe a resolution is better fitting because ultimately we're trying to shift university policy and you know, unless there's some document outlining the clear distinction between a memorandum or a resolution, I think it's kind of subjective to kind of set those binding statements. So while you stated in your own words what you believe a resolution and a memorandum differences are, nonetheless, I believe that's kind of your subjective opinion. And, but yeah.
Taylor. Addressed to the author? No, it does not. Someone, Saqib?
I see Senator Edwards' point. However, I would just ask the author to propose an amendment that specifies an action. Of all the therefore be it resolved clauses, I don't see any asking any specific department or any specific entity on the UTSA community to act on something. So to actually pass it as a resolution, I just suggest the author to just amend anything to ask a specific entity to do something.
Directed to the author may respond.
Yeah, I just want to say again, at this point, you know, we successfully passed the technical writing resolution, and that has been able to move forward, and we're working with the department, the English department on that. Similar thing kind of happened there. There was a little bit more broad statements. Some important parties were mentioned, but there weren't specifically tasked to them. The main thing is this resolution clearly kind of outlines the desired actions of SGA if we vote to approve this. It does identify the important parties, but the main thing is I can probably kill myself trying to find all of the important entities and necessary parties. If you look at, I believe, 2 statements down, the second to last, therefore be it resolved, those identified parties, particularly Cy McMillan, again, through my own personal investigation with the university, he has a lot of control in this actual process and a lot of say on changes to that policy. And so we're literally in communication with the guy who can implement this. And so some of that stuff, while might be nice, I believe is unnecessary to actually achieving the goal of this resolution. And as much as I know some senators might have other opinions, the reality is this is actually affecting students right now. And so I think they would be more appreciative of a resolve to their issue, and they wouldn't be as mindful as a semantic, adjustment of, a statement of specifying the concerned parties, although there are concerned parties mentioned.
Nicholas Delaney.
From my understanding of public policy, if it doesn't offer a solution, it's not a resolution. So it has to resolve a situation.
1 second while the
And
senator finishes.
anything other than that is just a memo or memorandum of suggestion or information.
Sawan Saqib.
Like, who would bring the change? Which department? Which person can? And if the author knows the person's entity, can he include that in the first two clauses of the therefore be it resolved, saying instead of all the clauses being should, which is like an SGA opinion and which should be in a memo, can the author just change the should clauses to call for an action to the specific entities that would be tasked to change this rule?
Directed to the author may respond.
I believe, I guess we possibly could add an amendment directly addressing Cy McMillan. It'd probably take me a second to think about how we'd possibly word that. I mean, again, I guess the issue is ultimately, and I guess that's what kind of falls back onto the, concern, I guess, of the other senators. As it is, I'm 100% confident that if we pass this resolution, I can meet with Cy McMillan probably tomorrow and begin actually working on how we can achieve this goal. Nonetheless, if we're concerned about those semantic issues, I'm sure we can think of a way to possibly word, some directed statement towards him. But again, I think the main issue that I possibly have, and I put it on the task of the senators to consider, in the nature of resolution, just again, some of the formalities I'm confident are not necessarily always necessary, but if there's enough concern about what Senator Salman mentioned, I'd be willing to consider any sort of statement. I'll probably even think of one right now. Just give me a second.
Nicholas Delaney.
Whether this is a resolution or memorandum, will it affect the process in terms of this legislation? Yeah,
Please pass the mic to the graduate senator to respond.
What it currently states is that what should happen at UTSA, but it's not asking who at UTSA will resolve this. So I'm going back to my previous question to the author, that which entity at UTSA can resolve this? If the author knows the name, can he just include that name? Or not a name like an office or like a department. Which department deals with this?
The author may respond.
Cool. So I guess I just kind of thought of a statement. So with something along the lines of, therefore be it resolved, UTSA SGA directs Associate Vice Provost for Student Success, Simon McMillan, to, I guess, incorporate, the suggested changes. So I mean, the main thing there is, again, it probably take me 2 or 3 minutes, but I'm sure I can come up with a really nice reading. So I guess I encourage further discussion for the time being. But I believe we can come up with a statement that sounds nice and gets to the point. I'm not sure if anyone has any suggestions. I guess the biggest thing ultimately is it really kind of does fall on Cy McMillan. So something along the lines of, therefore, be it resolved, we direct Cy McMillan to take this resolution and implement it. But I mean, that's ultimately what I'm doing in the point of that conversation. So the main thing is, again, it's kind of a subjective thing. Again, there's nothing in the Constitution saying that this resolution and/or memorandum, but again, I'd like to move forward as a resolution, requires that. And so, I mean, it's probably might be worth it, but I think it's kind of subjective.
Alicia Moreno.
My concern is that the issues that this is addressing are outlined in the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board rules and the Texas Higher Education Code. And that's where the 150 semester hour rule comes in. That's where the three-peat rule comes in. So those are codified in state law. So even if, and the reason that those are, so what that means is if students go over that 150 semester hours, or if they take a class more than twice, the university does not get reimbursed by the state for those classes, which means that every other student's tuition would have to go up to cover down on the students that are not passing classes more than twice or over the 150 semester hour rule. So the reason that the 150 credit hour rule and the three-peat rule have been codified in state law is because the state of Texas does not reimburse public institutions for students that go over that amount of credit hours. So that means that everybody else's tuition potentially would have to go up to...
1 second, while she finishes her statement.
Well, I mean, that is my statement. That's my concern, is that we are asking for a change to be made within the university that is in direct conflict with state guidelines, educational guidelines, Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board and the Texas Education Code.
Taylor Edwards has a question.
Mr. Chair, I move we table this so that it can be rewritten as a memorandum.
A motion has been made. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? The noes have it.
Point of inquiry.
Discussion. Taylor Edwards.
I have to go get some medication. May I sign a proxy vote?
Yes.
AZ Senator from the junior class. I apologize.
I will make that note. Joshua Davidson.
Yeah, I just want to say, again, it might not be really clear with this resolution, but I've actually been in a lot of contact with the admin about it. So with regards to the senator's concerns in terms of the legality of this policy, again, it is a guideline. The previous person who had Cy McMillan's position, I forgot her name. Man, I could probably pull up the email. Let's just say Miss Patterson for now. I'm just going to make some arbitrary name. But long story short, Ms. Patterson, I had extended conversations with her. She's actually the one who pointed me to that Texas State Education Law Code and kind of gave me additional information in it. And so at the core of the issue ultimately is that in terms of payments for those courses, students still have the capacity to pay, and there's nothing saying that if I take a course for the third time that I don't have to pay for it. And so we're not encouraging the institution to give students free classes for their third repeat or if they're over 150 credit hours. We're saying that if they're going to be charged, they should be charged the state required amount. And so any additional fees that the university is accumulating and profit that they're accumulating because of those fees, ultimately we're trying to say is somewhat wrong because, again, it's negatively impacting students who are first-time undergraduates, students that do full-time work. You know, obviously some students come from very impoverished backgrounds, and so to charge that student out-of-state tuition and profit whatever benefit it might gain for the university is ultimately disservice to the students themselves. And so ultimately this resolution, though also considers on the back end, because the university has needs, if those students follow the petition process. There's already a process in place, and this kind of just ultimately, one-ups that process to make it a little bit more robust to help students. And the main thing is, again, if a student can petition to take up to 24 credit hours, that does not guarantee their graduation. So if they're like 30 credit hours away, usually they're very close because you've already met with your advisor at least once or twice prior to having been in this situation. So one, you're maybe like 30 at the most credits away from graduating. Two, the other problem is that if you do any repeats, then you're going to be charged out of state for those courses. So again, you're still going to be paying tuition, you're just not going to pay out of state tuition. And so an assumption that somehow the tuition rates of the entire university are going to be raised by I guess like a reduction of these extra charges, I believe is not completely warranted because again, we're definitely actually siding on the position of students in this case, and those students are still paying state tuition. So it's not like the university is not getting anything, and if I'm not mistaken, that tuition number is designed to actually cover the cost of at least the faculty and the spacing.
Okay. Nicholas Delaney.
So I believe before this resolution is passed, I would recommend a memorandum of advocacy to the state in terms of policy before we even look in terms, so that way we're not in conflict of Texas state policy coming from our Student Government Association if this is the route that you want to go.
Point of privilege was called. Claudia Garcia.
I would just like to remind the Senate that we are currently discussing a resolution, so everybody should be focusing on what is being discussed, just as a kind reminder to everybody.
Alicia Moreno.
So the concept that a tuition increase is probable is very realistic because our tuition does not cover all of the costs of this university. A third of the income of this university comes from the state. So the state will not fund any part of a student's class if they're over 150 semester hours or if it's a three-peat. That's why there's an increase in the cost of those classes, because otherwise all of the rest of the students' tuition would have to go up to absorb the cost for that student's classes that are over those marks, because the state is not kicking in that 1/3 of the university income. So all of the tuition and fees that we pay do not pay everything on this university. It cannot pay all the faculty and staff and buildings and curriculum and resources. It doesn't, it can't. That's why this is a state university. So because those things are codified by the state of Texas, us writing something that is totally counterindicated, that students should not be charged, and maybe it shouldn't be out-of-state tuition, but we are going to be impacting a lot of other students, and we're going to be saying, we're going to be carrying these other students that, in the way that this is written, it just says that if they're on a degree plan, they shouldn't ever be charged for going over the degree plan. That means I could change my degree plan 5 times. As long as I'm on a degree plan, I can take 300 semester hours and never pay any kind of overage. But after 150 semester hours, the state of Texas will not kick in any additional funds for that student's education.
The author has 30 seconds to respond. Correct.
Yeah.
But he had his hand raised, and therefore he has 30 seconds to respond.
Okay, again, this resolution takes that into consideration. The whole point of it is that the university already has policy in place that allows this to be waived, and that's more or less always guaranteed. The main thing it doesn't take account into is if you have to do any repeats, and also, again, it emphasizes the shortest amount of credits to graduate. You have already met with your advisor 2 to 3 times prior to being in the situation where this would even be implemented. So you're not, again, that's part of why this statement at the bottom actually says students wishing to take classes outside of the formulated degree plan should be charged. And so we are taking into account
time.
those aspects that you're
time.
considering, and it's already kind of mitigated
Joshua
within this
Davidson.
policy.
Nicholas Delaney.
I'm going to kind of re-clarify my opinion. I do think this is beyond the bounds of talking in this legislation in terms of this, not to be a resolution, but looking beyond in terms of state level, some advocacy coming from our student government if you would like to go down that avenue to bring some advocacy to the policy that's mandated by the state in terms of our university and students.
Claudia Garcia.
I move to previous question.
Is there a second? There's a second. All those in favor to move to previous question say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Nay. Noes have it. We're still in discussion. Joshua Davison, 30 seconds to respond.
With respect to the senator's point on the legality, I guess, of this resolution, again, the main thing is, guys, I've already really had a lot of conversations with administration about this, and so there is a way where exactly everything that I put forward, honestly, I'm not going to lie, I don't put together anything that's a resolution that I don't think the university is not going to staff or actually be able to implement. And oftentimes, I'll have conversations with faculty and members of the university to make sure it can be accomplished. So this is a tangible thing, and it's within the legality within our bounds.
AZB Wani.
If I'm not mistaken, when this was tabled at the previous General Assembly, I think the person who kind of started that conversation was
It was
Senator
Edwards. Correct.
Okay, never mind then.
Nicholas Delaney.
You mentioned you talked to administration. What exactly did they tell you in terms of how this could happen in terms of legalities to the state law and policy?
The author may respond.
So
has 1 minute to respond.
Cool. So again, I'd have to pull up the email. I forgot the gentlewoman's name. It's really offensive that I forgot it, actually. But long story short, she continued to reiterate to me that the issue is the university's policy. The state generates a guideline. Again, if you look carefully at that language and something that she reiterated, and she's a person who's literally in control of this, who was in control of this policy at that time. And so the state generates a guideline, and I'm sure that Alicia's comments are part of the basis of that guideline. Again, some of that funding is not necessarily being reimbursed, but nonetheless, it's within the university's right to change said policy. And they have a policy in place. They can allow students to waive for 24 hours, and that puts you really close to a degree plan. Again, at this point, you should be right about between 30 hours. Again, top two issues is 24 is a little bit too limited, so it should be just the shortest degree plan possible. And also, if you fail a class that's on your degree plan, sometimes you'll be charged for that automatically. So as long as it's on your degree plan, somehow you fail it, you know, we should allow you that chance to retake it.
As chair, I feel as if we spent quite an adequate amount of time on this resolution. From this moment, we have exactly 2 minutes to discuss this resolution. When the 2 minutes are up, we will go straight into a vote. So we are now in discussion. 2 minutes starts now. Jose Escobedo.
I move the previous question.
Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Nay. Nays have it. Division's been called. All those in favor to move to the previous question, raise your hand. Elbows locked. Hands down. All those opposed to move to the previous question, hands raised, elbows locked. Hands up. All those abstain? The yeses have it. We move to the previous question. We are now in a vote for this resolution as a whole. We will be doing the vote by raise of hands. AZB Wani.
I have a proxy vote for Taylor, and I have a proxy vote for Kennedy. How would I go about doing that? I know, but like just in terms of the process, do you want me to like raise my hand 3 times, or?
I will. Jose Escobedo, give me 1 second. AZB Wani does have a proxy vote for 2 other individuals. Therefore, he has 3 votes. Saman Saqib. No. And we are going to redo that count. Thank you for reminding me. So we are now going to count again by raise of hands. To move to previous question, all those in favor to move to previous question say, raise your hand, elbows locked. Hands down. All those not in favor? All those abstain? The vote's already been cast. 10 yes, 9 no. We are now moving to vote on this document as a whole. Maria Aguilar.
When was the motion made to give AZ Kennedy's voting power, or was that something set before?
It was
GA?
something set prior to GA.
Okay, I was just confused. All right.
Awesome, thank you. We are now in a vote for this document as a whole. All those in favor to vote on this document to pass, raise your hand, elbows locked. Hands down. All those not in favor of this document for pass. Hands down. All those abstain. I will allow it this time. By a vote of 9 yes, 10 no, and 1 abstain, this document does not pass. Alrighty, moving on. Our next item of business is to swear in new senators. Are there any senators here who are going to be sworn in today? All right, come up to the front. Please stand in the front and face the General Assembly. If someone, Saqib, could please sit down. AZ Buwani, just kidding. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your full name. Give me 1 second to get you a mic. I state your full name.
I, Stephanie Nueve,
Knowing the duties of my office.
knowing the duties of my office
As set forth in the Constitution.
as set forth in the Constitution
Of the Student Government Association.
of the Student Government Association
Of the University of Texas at San Antonio.
of the University of Texas at San Antonio.
Do hereby swear.
Do hereby swear
To execute faithfully.
to execute faithfully
The duties of my office.
the duties of my office.
To the best of my ability.
To the best of my abilities.
I will responsibly represent my constituents.
I will responsibly represent my constituents,
Remembering that.
Remembering that
With the privileges of my position.
with the privileges of my position,
Comes responsibility.
comes responsibility.
I will embody teamwork.
I will embody teamwork
And work in concert.
And work in concert
With my fellow SGA members.
with my fellow SGA members.
I will protect and defend.
I will protect and defend
The Constitution.
The Constitution
Of the Student Government Association.
of the Student Government Association
Of the University of Texas at San Antonio.
of the University of Texas at San Antonio.
Congratulations. You guys now may seat in the inner circle. And as we get things settled up here, we're going to be given the State of the Student Body Address by our president, Mr. John Jack Russ.
If it's cool with you, I'm just going to shut this thing. Howdy, Roadrunners. Oh, it's louder than normal. First and foremost, I want to thank everybody who came to the last GA of the year. I know you guys are going to really miss each other over the month and change that we have away from one another, but we're really glad you're here. I'd like to thank not only those elected individuals, but our appointed and our guests here tonight. We're really glad that you're here. And I want to note that all of our students here are recognized as active members of our organization. If I haven't had the opportunity already, my name is John Jack Rust. Middle name is actually Franklin, but that's a whole other story. And I'm your student body president for the 2019-2020 academic year. So what are we doing here tonight? What is the state of the student body, and why even do an address in the first place? So although it goes without an official definition, it's an address made each year by the presiding SGA president in which we address various topics that relate to the structure, the function, and the production of the organization and the university at large. In my past 2 years of SGA, this address was one of many presidential duties and organizational events that often went overlooked and that was insufficient in identifying and solving the issues that we faced. Tonight, I'd like to take the opportunity to move this in a different direction. By examining the various conflicts of our past, how we are currently handling them as an organization, and where we can make improvements in the future, I feel as though we can gain a comprehensive understanding of the state of the student body and SGA's role in addressing these conflicts. So let's take a look at the past. As I look back at the previous 2 administrations, one which I saw as a fresh transfer student and a sophomore senator, and the other as a junior senator and a member of our executive board, I can say with 100% certainty that I have the most respect for our respective general assemblies and those leadership teams. However, living up to expectations is no small task. Each year following elections, many of us anticipate an enhancement in the student experience and a certain level of growth in the production or advancement of this student government. So let's look at the good. In the past, I've witnessed an extraordinary effort from SGA to communicate with faculty and administration regarding initiatives and the structure and function of this organization. From the multiple deans to the university-wide committees, all the way up to President Amy himself, there's been a direct communication in which SGA has held a voice. In fact, these relationships have resulted in several successful projects and legitimate structural change in the job responsibilities of several new and older members of UTSA's administration. Unfortunately, the doors that have been open for this organization, in my experience, have not always been utilized to their fullest capabilities. On this note, as we move into the problems of the past, SGA has been unsuccessful in being what we call the sole voice of the student body. While we have the tools, the budget, and the personnel to ensure that our voices are heard, we have previously seen a shortage in the non-faculty guests and student representatives voicing concerns during one of the most important stages of our meetings, open forum. We've had an abysmal voter turnout, often seeing less than 3% of the student body participating in our elections. And lastly, over the last 2 years, SGA produced minimal legislation. Many of the initiatives brought forward from committees or from the open forum ran independent from a resolution or recommendation and thus lacked a timetable for delivery and necessary action. So now let's move into the present. In the latter half of the spring semester and the fall of 2019, this group has heard from the student body more than any other year that I've attended this university. We had an opportunity to listen and problem solve with members of YDSA, Texas Rising, and other student organizations that demonstrated a serious concern in the communication or lack thereof from their student government. We have struggled to involve our student population in our elections, our events, and our decision-making process that we call government. We have made serious financial decisions with a budget of over $45,000, one of them being very poor and made under time constraints without the proper deliberation of our organization and the student body input. Our staple initiatives have been full of great vision, and they are certainly aimed to assist the general population here at UTSA. However, they lacked hard timelines, and some have required serious reconstruction and been stale in nature. Our SGA Constitution has limited us in more ways than not. It also requires serious reconstruction and a deliberate effort from our Senate and judicial branch and organization in order to renovate the Constitution. Lastly, the high turnover in elected members of this organization discourages the continuation of good ideas and often leads to an idealistic approach to our problems rather than a realistic one. However, and this is a big however, this assembly is making great strides towards improvement. Our meetings have been more conducive to business than ever before, averaging around 4 hours every Thursday, many of which have ran past 9:30 p.m. or 10 p.m. And there's been more legislation this semester produced than I saw all of last year, each of which has had legitimate intention for change and a plan for the future. The University Leadership Council and senior administration in general has had an open ear to the ideas of our student government, listening to our concerns and inviting us to the table where change is being made. Now, as we move into the future, it's our job to properly utilize the platforms given to us for the general well-being and advancement of our university. So let's take a look at the future. Now, having identified areas where our organization can better benefit this university, it would be a poor demonstration of leadership to not offer potential solutions as we move towards the future. First and foremost, SGA must make itself more available to the student body outside of open forum, our tabling efforts, and the rare opportunity offered by elections. To solve this, it may be worth considering a town hall-like platform where we can host discussion tables that relate to the particular concerns of this student body. This could be a monthly or bi-monthly event where we consolidate the issue faced by our students and offer a platform where problems can be addressed and initiatives can be brought to light. Additionally, it may benefit this organization to separate the role of Public Relations and Outreach Director into two similar but separate responsibilities, creating a Director of Media Management, primarily focused on the various networks used to connect with students, and then a Director of Public Relations, who is primarily focused on the face-to-face interactions with our students and addressing their individual needs. Another potential solution in allowing students to meet with senior administration would revolve around what could be called the SGA Leadership Council. Not unlike a university-wide committee or the currently standing University Leadership Council, this would be a monthly meeting hosted by SGA where students have an opportunity for open dialogue with senior faculty and administration. There are several areas where this organization can make quick and effective change that would benefit our students at large and increase overall performance of our association. So check it out, guys. We have a special opportunity. We had students who came to our event and said, listen, we've got problems. They handed them right over to us. And I believe that instead of having a dull effort towards addressing those problems, we take this opportunity and we get to work. If you look to your left and you look to your right, you'll see students who care about making tangible change at this university. Not a single one of you is in here because you want to spend your Thursday nights 4 hours a night and talk amongst yourselves about 150 credit hour rule, right? At the end of the day, you guys want to make change, and we have that opportunity to open doors and get that done. So let's get to work.
Thank you, Jack. Moving on to the next item, we have our advisor report with Mr. Drew Shonut.
Not much for tonight, but a few big things. So for marketable leadership skills workshops, I haven't talked about them too much this semester, but we do have a set of workshops offered by the Student Leadership Center that are based on the NACE competencies, so the National Association of Colleges and Employers. And basically every few years they do a survey of employers asking, what are you looking for when you are hiring people for jobs? And based on the set of skills that they say this is what we're looking for, Student Leadership Center has put together a set of workshops that are aimed at developing those skills in students here on campus. So in the past, we've had individual workshops. They're about 45 minutes each, and you would do one workshop a day. We typically have them 3 times a week. Starting in spring semester, we'll still be doing the one workshop format, but we'll also be offering several times throughout the semester so there are 3 levels, each level having 6 workshops. So we'll be offering entire levels on a Saturday. So you can get your level 1 taken care of completely on one day, level 2 completely taken care of on another day, level 3 taken care of on a third day. So in 3 days, you can complete the entire marketable leadership skills course. And the cool thing is, if you complete all the marketable leadership skills workshops, you get a medal that you get to wear at graduation that has Student Leadership Academy on it. So it's a pretty cool medal. It's a pretty cool perk of getting all the courses. Plus, hopefully you will have developed some skills that you'll be able to talk about when you go in for a job interview along the way. So just wanted to put that out there. The first one will be January 25th, which is the first Saturday after we come back and start classes in the spring. So if you are able on Saturday, January 25th to join us, you can get all of your level 1 workshops taken care of in one day. So please do join us for that. And I just want to say, as we go into exam period and as we go into winter break, first of all, take care of yourselves. Make sure that you are looking after your individual needs, taking time to relax where you can, de-stressing where you can, and then also, as you go into winter break, taking that time to really give yourself the ability to relax, to take a second away. But also, where you can, using some of that time to think about some things that you can be doing in the spring, particularly with your elected position. So please do take a few minutes over your winter break to think about student government and think about some of the things that you can do, while also making sure to take some time to not think about student government. So thank you so much for all that you've done this semester, and I look forward to working with you again next semester, as I'm sure Allison does too. So thank you.
Alrighty, thank you. Now moving on to our executive reports, and today we will have Ms. Claudia Garcia.
Hello. I would like all of the people who are graduating this fall to please stand up. Heather, you're graduating. So, Jack, you want to help me out? If y'all can please come forward, like in front of the table.
Just line up right in front of here.
Have done for student government in the time that you guys have been here, and wanted to show how grateful we are for you. Here we go. Thank you and congratulations.
Alrighty, congratulations again to all who are graduating this semester. And as we move on, we are going to the Justices Report with our Justice, Jarmanese.
Okay, so very briefly, on behalf of the other two justices, the only thing that we wanted to report on today are the previous election results from this past, or from yesterday, that ended. So just a moment of transparency. 62 students voted, and give me a second, I'm looking to adjust the total number of eligible students that voted, because there was only 2 positions, the freshman senator and College of Education, so not everyone was eligible to vote, but 62 voted, so that is 0.19% of the student body, and one of our senators received 84.31% of the votes, and then the only College of Education senator received 100% of the votes, which was about 11, and Stephanie received 43. So just reflecting on this last election, I'm not aware of who tabled yesterday of the justices. No one? Okay. I know that I tabled along with Jose on Tuesday. So just again, a moment of transparency. Me personally, I'm a little disappointed. But one of the things that I wanted to offer for the future justices to come was an elections plan, because I wasn't very happy, I guess, with what was given to us or what wasn't given to us coming into this position. So I apologize. I didn't have time to like make it into a nice little PowerPoint, but I did kind of, I made it into like a little binder and I passed it off to Clara. But pretty much I'll give you the synopsis of what I offered to her and other justices that come. I wanted to strategically place tabling spots on the campus. Hopefully, if the judicial branch is ever full, we can have multiple justices. That way we can kind of split them up and we're not all tabling in one section. I also offered a recommendation for us to utilize a different system for us to facilitate votes, because of right now we use RowdyLink. For some students, they are aware of that system and they're able to easily assess it or access it, but for some, they're still kind of learning the ins and outs of UTSA and its softwares. So I offered a system where elections can be directly sent to them through some sort of form. That way it's easily accessible to them. And that way, while justices are tabling, it makes it easier for us to assist them with those election processes. So that's just some of the things that I wanted to offer. For me personally, that was something that that was the biggest change that I wanted to see, because obviously voter turnout isn't where it needs to be. Instead of making excuses for it, I just try to do what I can to see a change. That's it.
Alrighty, thank you. We are now moving on to dodgeball.
So Clara had the dodgeball last, and she is not here. So hopefully we will get the dodgeball back next time she comes, which would be oh, she told you something else. Never mind.
So Clara dropped it off, and she would like to pass it to Anjali. Am I saying your name right?
I had no idea I was getting this. That was very sweet. Yeah, this is really exciting. This is the last GA of the year, so I think Drew summed up pretty well what I kind of want to say as well. So hopefully next year you guys take care of yourselves and enjoy the break, and we'll come back with more initiatives, and I'm really excited to work with you guys again next year.
Sign your name in the office. So keep it and then give it.
Alrighty, congratulations, Anjali. And actually, if you stay up here real quick, we're going to director reports with Anjali Shaw.
Okay, I have a lot, but I'll try to keep it really quick. Stress Down Day, I was so happy that a lot of you guys came. I know SA made it required to come, so that kind of, forced y'all. But I really do appreciate it, and that's kind of one of the things I always strive for is you guys bonding, and it wasn't something that was like a little free-for-all hangout. Like, you guys were meeting students, interacting with them. We were actually ironically set up right next to counseling services, so there was a lot of us who were at both tables, and we were talking to counseling services, their representative Levi, and all that good stuff. So I'm really happy that SA, especially, and all of the others who are not a part of SA came. I cannot express how much that helped. We ran out of teas a lot faster than expected, which is great because I had a lot of packets, but that just shows like you guys being there really does mean a lot. As far as mental health first aid training, so I've talked to y'all about this before. When Carlos sent out the minutes at the bottom is the flyer for it, which has the dates and times in specific, so I won't have to say them now because you won't remember. But it is going to be starting spring semester. We have 2 in January and 2 sessions in February. You do have to RSVP to attend, so I would love for you guys to attend because obviously you guys are student representatives and it would make sense for you guys to be trained in this. But as well, just share the RSVP link in your group meetings and stuff like that, and I'll remind y'all through Slack as well. The next thing is Sex Talk is happening again spring semester, February 10th from 6 to 8 in the Ratama, and I will be on the student panel. So that was one of the things when we surveyed from the last one was that we wanted a student panel, so I will be on it this time, so that's exciting. Downtown Campus Clinic, again, to do the opening event, I've been collabing with Health Services and then Cynthia, our downtown director. The date will be January 28th from 12 to 1:30 p.m. So it is downtown campus. I will have a sign-up sheet and stuff, but I really need y'all's help because we're passing out hot chocolate and we're guiding them to the downtown clinic. So I can't do all of that by myself. Cynthia and I. We have free VIA passes, so you have no excuse to get there. And I'm also carpooling, and so Cynthia will be there as well. And the biggest one is our athletics update. So I had 2 meetings with athletics. One was the university-wide committee, and one was my monthly one with Christine and Stephanie. Going back to the last home game, we did partner with Brenda Tracy. Jack was there along with other of SGA members, and we handed the memorandum to her in person, and she was very, very thrilled and happy about that. So thank you all to who made it there, and then thank you guys, obviously, for passing that. And we did give her a copy of the memorandum, so she has that to keep. Going back to athletics, as you all know, Coach Frank Wilson was let go officially on Sunday, and so we are trying to get a new head coach. We have about 7 days to find one, which is ample amount of time. Once we have that, I'll let y'all know. I know some people on Twitter were having conversation about Coach Art Briles, who was a former Baylor coach during that scandal at the time. We are not going to be having him. I know that was a concern, and Christine wanted me to share that with you guys, that we will not be having him as a coach. As far as basketball goes, I'm partnering up with Coach Henson. Aw, dang it. Okay, we're partnering up with Coach Henson to increase student engagement spring semester because we haven't really focused on basketball. And then if anybody's ever curious about the NCAA's new policies and NIL stuff, just talk to me about it and I'll update y'all on that. Cool. Woo! I did it.
Awesome, thank you so much. We're now moving on to the next section, which is our standing committee reports. And first we have Saman Saqib.
Hi guys, yesterday was Scantron giveaway and the event was a success, and I just want to take a moment to recognize a few of the individuals that helped out. Alicia, Anjali, Jennifer, Kayla, AZ, all the AA senators. It was just a great success. It was lovely to see all of you there, and thank you so much for all the help that you provided, because I had to leave early and I had a paper due, which I could not submit on time, but that's fine. Nonetheless, the event was a great success. Now, I'll just, before I give you a quick rundown on what we have accomplished as AA this past semester, I also want to recognize my Vice Chair, Regina Kennard, for the excellent and wonderful job she has done as a Vice Chair. She's the best. She's the best. And I don't know how I can manage without her, because at the end of this semester, she's stepping down from her senatorial duties. So as an honor for her farewell, I would like to hand the mic to Regina Kennard to do a quick rundown on what we have accomplished so far in this semester and kind of do the AA report for this GA.
Hey guys. We passed 3 pieces of legislation this semester. So with the CAMC, the microscopy center, we passed that resolution. The rec field, and also the technical writing. So and the Mexican American studies. And so we completed 2 surveys, the iClicker usage survey and the employee benefits survey, and we're going to be finishing that up, or you guys will. And then also, yeah, just Scantron giveaway was really great, and it was a good turnout. And yeah, if you're interested in, joining AA, you should, because we're the best. And if you want to be vice chair, talk to Salman or something. But yeah, that's what we're doing. His office hours are 2:30 to 4:30 Thursdays in the Flan 30104A, and there's his email at the bottom. Oh, I love you guys. I love SGA. I've been, I don't know. I've been in SGA since March of 2018. So it would have been 2 years by March, but due to my schedule and course load next semester, I can't be a senator, but I will do my best to still be an active member and participate in as much as I can as an active member. And you guys are the bomb.
All right, guys, so after all the initiatives that we have completed, the rest of the initiatives will move on as ongoing business for the next semester. And that's all from AA for this semester. Thank you.
All right, Business Affairs Chair, Mr. Jose Escobedo.
Alrighty. Hi, everyone. I guess I'll be giving a mini state of the BA address. So I just want to let you guys know, a lot of work that we do as BA is, I guess you would say, behind the scenes. So we don't do too many events, but what we do is, on average, we have basically 2 or 3 meetings with administration, on average. That's the lowest we'll go. And the BA senators know that. We usually meet with campus services, facilities. As a committee, we started to grow connections with different organizations under BA. So we actually did meet with Human Resources the other day. And so we are trying to establish a connection there. We are establishing connections with multiple departments. We have a close relationship with facilities, the police department, and of course campus services. Especially as we start looking at a new dining service, BA is taking a bigger role in that. And so, again, I just want to thank my senators for all they do. You guys are great. But just some updates. So rental umbrellas, we do have a meeting coming up, I believe, this week or next week, just to consolidate the plan moving forward with our partners. Personal hygiene initiative, that's still moving forward. Student health services, they did get their fiscal year 2020, I think, actually, budget passed. So they will be able to sustain this initiative even after we're graduated and long gone. Our accessibility initiative, that has become our 3rd priority initiative. We are ensuring that as our university continues to grow, that it also grows as accessible as possible to students on the campus. So I want to thank Senator Jasmine for that one. She's done a great job. And of course, I want to thank all my liaisons in BA. Ever since we implemented that system, I believe it's really worked for us so far. On a solemn note, due to recent events this week, I am urging our members to take another look at the Roadrunner Memorial Garden. We are going to revamp that to somehow honor the students that we've lost this week, somehow, some way. This world is a lot less brighter without their presence. So we're going to push on that, and we're going to try to honor them the best way we can. But again, I want to thank you guys for everything you do. I love you all, and have a holly jolly Christmas.
Moving on to our Student Affairs Chair, Ms. Alicia Moreno.
Hey guys, just really quick, we did not have a committee meeting this week because we joined SHAC in mass to support her because she supports all of our efforts in student affairs so much. So we spent the afternoon with her at Stress Down Days at the Rec and made sure that people were taking care of themselves, and I made sure that our senators were taking care of themselves as well. As caretakers, we kind of don't do really well at taking care of ourselves. We take care of everybody else. And we have several really big initiatives going on right now. Most of our spotlight initiatives are long-term big initiatives. We have the book trades initiative, still very active, bringing political candidates to the university to speak. Gage Martin met with the Dreamers Center today to move further into his initiative, and Kennedy Caskey continues to work on a campus-wide composting initiative. So keep your eyes open in January because this stuff is going to start coming to fruition really quickly in the next semester, and y'all enjoy your holidays.
Alrighty, thank you again, Ms. Alicia. Moving on to our office hours, as they're posted for both the exec and as well the chairs, and they have not changed. And moving on to our open seat update, I would like to advise I have not updated this, so I will update it now with our new inducted senators. So you just take a look at that, but I will send out the new updated one in Slack. And takeaways. Well, real quick, sorry, takeaways. So for the new senators, as you guys know, Dylan is our secretary. Please reach out to him regarding your SGA email as well as Slack, our communication channel. You can reach out to Caitlin Law, who is our chief of staff, and she can get you set up with that. And also, have a great Christmas break, guys. And please study for finals, get some rest. Health is wealth, so please be careful. Take care of yourself. And as we move on, we're going straight into roll call. Alrighty, guys, meeting is adjourned, 7:35 p.m.